Some love stories don't begin with lightning or fireworks. They begin quietly, with two souls who never planned to meet. In the small seaside town of Whitby, England, a young woman named Maya Ellis lived above a little bookstore called the Old Town Bookshop. Her world was made of paper, ink, and half-written dreams. Every morning she'd sit by her window watching the North Sea, as if waiting for a story to rise from the horizon. Across the cobblestone street in a small flat near Grape Lane moved a quiet photographer, Ethan Rowe. He carried an old Nikon, a heart full of wanderlust and eyes that saw poetry in everything but himself. Their first meeting wasn't grand, just a glance across Whitby Bridge as the rain began to fall. She held a notebook against her chest. He shielded his camera with his jacket. For a moment their eyes met, and something timeless passed between them. They didn't speak that day, but something unspoken began, the kind of quiet connection only the heart recognizes. He began visiting the bookstore, often claiming he was looking for travel guides, but always leaving with poetry. She'd smile shyly each time. One afternoon, she slipped a note between the pages of his book. "For those who chase sunsets, may you find one that stays." He looked up. She was already gone, her laughter echoing up the narrow lane. Soon their worlds began to overlap. Evenings on the Whitby pier, mugs of tea shared at Botham's Bakery, talks about dreams and fears and all the things they never said aloud. You always take photos at the same time. Because the light's most honest then, it hides nothing. They began to see beauty in each other's silence. In those quiet walks along the 199 steps, love found them without asking for permission. One evening, beneath the golden sky, Ethan spoke the words that froze her smile. "I got the job," he said. "In London, I leave in 2 weeks." Maya's heart fell, but she smiled anyway. "That's wonderful, Ethan, you deserve it." And in that moment she learned that love can ache and still sound like encouragement. She walked home beneath the shadow of Whitby Abbey, whispering to herself that she would be fine. She wasn't. The night before his train, Maya couldn't sleep. So she wrote. 4 pages. Every feeling she'd hidden behind polite smiles. "Ethan, if you're reading this, it means I finally found the courage to tell you what I never could. You made me believe in quiet love, the kind that doesn't demand, only exists. If time ever brings you back to Whitby, look for me where the sea meets the light." She sealed the letter with trembling hands. She planned to meet him at dawn, at the pier where it all began. But when she arrived, his train had already left. She stood there, breathless, holding a letter meant for someone who was already gone. That morning she tucked it between the pages of her unfinished book and whispered, "If he was meant to read it, time will find a way." Years passed. The tides rose and fell. Ethan's photographs circled the world. Paris, New York, Tokyo. But every sunset reminded him of Whitby, of her. He won awards, but his eyes always looked far away. In every photograph, the horizon looked like a question. And Maya, she became a writer. Her stories found readers, her words found homes. Her best-selling book was called The Letter He Never Read. She never explained the title. She didn't need to. 10 years later, Ethan returned to Whitby, older, quieter, carrying the same camera, but with hands that trembled now. He walked past the Old Town Bookshop, still standing. Inside, an old man dusted shelves. "Excuse me," Ethan asked. "Does Maya Ellis still work here?" The old man paused, eyes soft. "She passed last spring," he said gently. Peacefully, in her sleep. Ethan stood frozen. The world suddenly felt smaller than her absence. Then something caught his eye. On a high shelf, a copy of her book. He opened it. Inside the first page, a folded yellowed letter. He knew that handwriting. "If you're reading this, it means time kept its promise. I wanted to tell you that you changed my world, even if you never knew it. You taught me that love doesn't always need to be returned. It just needs to be real." And for the first time in years, Ethan cried, not for what he lost, but for what he finally found. He walked to the pier, the same one they once watched sunsets from, and the sea looked exactly as it did that first day. He lifted his old camera and took one final picture of the horizon. He titled it, "The Letter She Never Sent." Ethan never left Whitby again. Instead, he opened a small gallery by the sea, filled with photographs inspired by her book. He called the collection Beyond Time. Each photo carried a line from her letter. Each visitor left with tears in their eyes. People didn't just see art. They saw love remembered. Years later, the town built a small bench near the pier, engraved with a line from Maya's handwriting. If he was meant to read it, time will find a way. Every year on the same day, Ethan would visit, lay flowers beside the bench, and watch the sun set the way she once did. He smiled now. Not in pain, but in peace. Some stories don't need forever. They just need to be true. And sometimes love doesn't end. It just changes form, becoming memory, wind, a name carved on a bench, a letter that waited 10 years to be read. Because real love never truly dies. It just lives beyond time. And took one final picture of the horizon. The sea shimmered beneath the dying sun, and for a fleeting moment it looked as if the sky itself remembered her. Pause, gentle wind. He titled the photograph. The letter she never sent. It wasn't just a picture. It was a goodbye, a promise, and a memory frozen between two heartbeats. In the days that followed, Ethan reopened an old gallery on the edge of Whitby Pier. The walls were covered with moments, sunsets, empty benches, and faces lost to time. He named the exhibition Beyond Time. Each photo carried a line from Maya's letter. Each visitor left with wet eyes and a quiet smile, as if her words had reached through the years to touch something inside them too. Soft sound of pages turning. The town began to speak of them. The writer and the photographer who never got their ending, but left behind a love story that never stopped breathing. One summer evening, a group of locals built a small bench by the pier, just where Maya used to sit. On the plaque, they engraved her words. If he was meant to read it, time will find a way. Ethan came there every year on the same day. He'd sit with a bouquet of white lilies, his camera beside him, and watch the sun melt into the sea, the way she once did. Faint heartbeat under his breath. He no longer took pictures. He didn't need to. Every sunset was her. Every breeze whispered her name. Moment of silence. People often say love fades. That time heals everything. But Ethan knew better. Some loves don't fade. They simply change shape. They become stories told by strangers. Names etched in stone. A bench by the water, and a letter that finally found its way home. Slow fade of ocean sounds, soft wistful tone. Narrator closing tender. Because real love never truly dies. It lingers in the echoes, in the pages left open, and in the hearts of those who still believe that somewhere out there, time keeps its promises.